Humbled. Read by Nirvan Bajaj, Ikveer Bajaj and Siana Zaveri. Mahabharata, Chapter 23, Duryodhan Humbled. Vaishampayan continued with the Mahabharata. In the 12th year of their exile in the forest, O monarch, the Pandavas, engaged in asceticism and devoted to the practice of archery, reached the Dvaita lake in woods. The Pandavas lived near the Dvaita lake, far away from civilization, but many ascetics came to visit them. One day, there came to the Dvaita forest a certain Brahman. He conversed with the Pandavas for a while and then visited the court of King Dhritarashtra. The Brahman explained to Dhritarashtra the sorry plight in which he had found the Pandavas and Draupadi. Listening to the account of the Brahman, Dhritarashtra became sad and said, "Alas, the virtuous Pandavas who formerly slept on soft beds are now being made to sleep on bare earth. The misery experienced by his brothers and by Draupadi must have made Arjun burn with anger. The cruel words uttered by Dushasan after the unfair game of dice must have sunk into Bhima's mind. The Pandavas must be waiting for the opportunity to avenge the insult." Shakuni heard Dhritarashtra's outburst and told Duryodhana about it. What his father had spoken filled Duryodhana with grief. Shakuni and Karna tried to console him. "O Duryodhana, having exiled the Pandavas by our own prowess, rule this earth without a rival. All the kings of this land will now carry our commands in the same manner as they did under Yudhishthira." Then Karna said, "O king, let us go to Dvaitwan and look at the sons of Pandu. Let us see them shorn of their prosperity, the ones who never took orders and who never knew subjection." Shakuni said, "Who can be a happier man than he who in prosperity can look down on his foes in adversity? O king, the happiness that one derives from beholding his foes in grief is great. It is greater than one may derive from the acquisition of a son of immense wealth or a kingdom. Let your wives dressed in rich robes look at the woeful Draupadi clad in deerskin and bark." Hearing Shakuni speak thus, Duryodhana was very pleased, but was soon overcome by melancholy. He said, "O Karna, too have I thought about what you say. However, King Dhritarashtra will never permit it. If he gets to know of our motives, my father regards the Pandavas more powerful than us and is always grieving for them. I cannot make up my mind as to whether I should go or not. I will certainly be pleased to cast my eyes on the Pandavas and Draupadi as they pass their days in pain and sorrow. But first, we must think of a plan to convince my father and Bhishma. Take the help of Shakuni and Dushasan. Tomorrow, when I am with Bhishma in the presence of my father, you mention the pretext of which we may go to the woods." That night, Karna went to meet Duryodhana. He said to him, "O king, we have devised a plan by which Dhritarashtra will surely allow us to go to Dvaitwan." Duryodhana approved of the plan suggested by Karna. Next day, instructed by Karna, Shakuni, Samava, a cowherd, approached Dhritarashtra.
"O king, the time has come for marking the cattle at the Dvaitwan."
Then Shakuni said, "It is also the right season for the princes to go hunting. O king, I beseech you to grant Duryodhana permission to go to the cattle station at Dvaitwan." Dhritarashtra said, "My son, it is indeed proper that you should go on a deer chase as well as keep account on the cattle. But we have heard that the Pandavas are now staying in the vicinity of those cattle stations, suffering defeat at your hands through deceitful means. Theirs has been a life of ordeal in the forest. If you encounter them, their wrath may be awakened. They are now endowed with celestial weapons that you will be unable to meet. So let men loyal to you first go and inspect the cattle." But Shakuni replied, "O king, the sons of Pandu will not go back on their word. They pledged in the midst of the assembly that they would live in the forest for 12 years. Besides, the virtuous Yudhishthira will never be angry with us. and we will avoid any close encounter with the Pandavas. So there is no likelihood of any misconduct on our part. Thus addressed by Shakuni, Dhritarashtra was persuaded to grant permission to Duryodhana and his councillors to go to Dwaitavan. They set out accompanied by hundreds of soldiers and other citizens of Hastinapur and camped 6 kilometers outside the forest. Having set up camp, Duryodhana spent some time in conducting a census of the cattle, and then he and his followers concentrated on the game of hunting. The Pandavas, oblivious of the intruders not so far away from the forest, continued with their daily sacrifices. One day, some of Duryodhana's men strayed into the forest. Suddenly, someone said, "Stop! You cannot enter these woods. Our king has come here to sport, and we will not allow any intrusion here." The men from Hastinapur were thus forced to return to their camp. They said to Duryodhana, "O Lord, the king of the Gandhars, accompanied by several apsaras, is occupying the woods, and his attendants refuse us any entry." Duryodhana at once dispatched a band of able soldiers to settle the matter. The soldiers went back to the woods and addressed the Gandhars.
"The mighty king Duryodhana, son of Dhritarashtra, will be here soon on a hunt. Stand aside."
The Gandhars, however, laughed and said, "The foolish king must have taken leave of his senses, or how else would he dare command us as if we were his mere servants? Return immediately or we will be forced to kill you." Thus addressed by the Gandhars, the Kaurav army rushed back to Duryodhana's camp. Duryodhana was filled with rage when the matter was reported to him. He said to his guards, "Punish the wretches who dare defy me." The Kuru soldiers thus marched into Dwaitavan, disregarding the Gandhars, who said,
Go back, go back."
The Gandhar warriors rushed to their king Chitrasen for advice, and he said to them, "Punish the wretches for their insolence." The Gandhars returned in full force and rushed at the Kaurav soldiers holding up their weapons. The Kaurav soldiers were overpowered. Karna was unhappy when he saw the Kuru soldiers deserting the field. With a shower of arrows, he tried to check the advance of the Gandhar. Hundreds of Gandhars fell to Karna's sharp arrows. Then there came to the field Duryodhana and Shakuni and Dushasan and the other sons of Dhritarashtra in the encounter. The Gandhars finally fell exhausted. Seeing the Gandhars yielding to fear, Chitrasen, roused to anger, sprang from his seat and resolved to exterminate the Kuru army. He charged against the Kauravas in great fury. The Gandhar king had magic powers and he unleashed them on the Kaurav soldiers. They became bewitched and fled the field. After the Kurus had fled, the Gandhars turned to Karna, who continued to battle. They surrounded him, forced him to get off his chariot and then destroyed the chariot. Karna leapt on to another chariot, but he could not keep up for long and withdrew from the field. Beholding all his loyal followers fleeing, Duryodhana was more determined than ever to fight the Gandhars. But soon the Gandhars surrounded Duryodhana's chariot and forced him to the ground. Then Chitrasen rushed forward and seized Duryodhana. Duryodhana, Dushasan and a host of other Kauravas were taken prisoners by the Gandhars. Seeing Duryodhana being taken captive, some of his men approached the Pandavas.
"O Yudhishthira, our king Duryodhana has been captured and is being led away in chains by the Gandhars. They have also taken all the ladies of the royal household. O Yudhishthira, please come to our rescue. Release our king and our brothers from the Gandhars."
But an angry Bhima retorted, "What we should have done ourselves has been accomplished by the Gandhars. We are fortunate indeed that there are some people in the world who desire to do good to us. Duryodhana is an evil man. He wants to see us suffer as he enjoys himself on the throne." But Yudhishthira intervened. "This is no time for harsh words, brother. O Bhima, blood relatives are often divided and disputes arise among themselves. But any insult to the family from a stranger should not be tolerated. O brother, the honor of our family is at stake on account of the seizure of Duryodhana, his brothers and the ladies of our house. So rise and arm yourselves against the Gandhars and avenge the insult. Moreover, Moreover, these men have come to us to refuge, and it is our duty as Kshatriyas to protect them. The bestowal of a boon, sovereignty, and the birth of a son are sources of great joy, but the liberation of a foe in distress is equal to all three put together. I cannot move as I must complete this yajna, but you must rescue him. At the hands of aliens, we are 105 brothers. But if there are differences among ourselves, we are 5 and they are 100. Try winning the Gandharva king over through peaceful negotiations. If that does not work, then rescue Duryodhana by an armed conflict with Chitrasen. Hearing the words of Yudhishthir, the Pandavas prepared themselves to go and free Duryodhana. Arming themselves with bows and arrows, they set out to encounter the Gandharvas. And when the Pandavas met the Gandharvas, Arjun said, "Release my brother, the king Duryodhana." But the Gandharvas only laughed and said, "Ha ha! Oh child, there is only one person in this world whose orders we obey, and he is our chief. No one else can order us about. It does not behove Chitrasen to abduct others' women. Release them and the sons of the Dhritarashtra, or else." Arjun then released a shower of arrows at the Gandharvas. The 4 Pandavas fought against the Gandharva hordes. Arjun slew them by the hundreds with the celestial weapons. As the fight continued, some of the Gandharvas rose to the skies, carrying with them the sons of the Dhritarashtra. Beholding this, Arjun covered the skies with a shower of arrows, killing a large number of Gandharvas and causing panic among them. Realizing the damage done to his forces, Chitrasen rushed to attack Arjun. Chitrasen fought with the help of illusory forces, but Arjun used the celestial weapons to counter them. Exhausted by the battle, Chitrasen appeared before the Pandavas. Remembering how Chitrasen had befriended him at the abode of Indra, Arjun withdrew his weapons. Soon the other sons of Pandu too withdrew their bows and checked their racing steeds. Arjun then smilingly said to Chitrasen, "O Chitrasen, why are you punishing the Kauravas? What purpose does it serve to capture Duryodhana and his wives?" Chitrasen said, "O Arjun, from my celestial abode I knew the evil intentions of the Kauravas. I knew that they had come to this forest to mock at you and your brothers, and the fair Draupadi plunged in misfortune and adversity. Indra was also aware of the intentions of the Kauravas, and he said to me, 'Go and bring Duryodhana here in chains along with his counselors. Arjun and his brothers should be protected by you in battle, for he is your friend and disciple.' Arjun then said, 'O Chitrasen, if you wish to make me happy, set Duryodhana free, for this is the wish of our brother Yudhishthir.' Then Chitrasen said, 'This sinful wretch is full of vanity. He has deceived and wronged both Draupadi and Yudhishthir and does not deserve to be set free. Yudhishthir is not aware of the purpose of the Kauravas' visit. Let him decide for himself after hearing everything.' So all of them went to Yudhishthir. But the benevolent Yudhishthir requested that the Kauravas be released even after being told of Duryodhana's evil intention. 'It is very fortunate indeed that you did not slay the wicked son of the Dhritarashtra along with all his counselors and relatives. The honor of my family will be saved by your liberation. I am glad to see you all. Command me, what can I do for you? And having obtained all you wish, return to your heavenly abode.' The Gandharvas released the Kauravas and departed. And Yudhishthir addressed the liberated Duryodhana in an affectionate voice. 'O child, never again commit such a rash act, for you can never attain happiness then. Now you and your brothers go back to the capital cheerfully.' Then King Janamjaya asked Vaishampayan, 'O Vaishampayan, after the humiliating defeat at the hands of the Gandharvas, it must have been exceedingly difficult for Duryodhana to return to the capital.' Then Vaishampayan said, 'O monarch, yes, after being dismissed by Yudhishthir, Duryodhana proceeded towards the city. On the way, he camped near a lake. Then one morning Karna arrived at the camp and said, 'O Duryodhana, it is fortunate that you are alive and that we have met you once again. By good luck you could vanquish the Gandharvas who fought with magical powers. Tormented by the Gandharvas, I myself fled the battlefield, unable to withstand the fury of the enemy any longer. But you have seemed to come out unscathed. O king, what you have accomplished by this battle, no one else could have.' In a voice choked with emotion, Duryodhana said to Karna, "O Karna, you do not know what happened." Duryodhana then explained to Karna all that had taken place after the Pandavas had decided to rescue him. "Oh Karna, the humiliation I felt as I was released from captivity through the efforts of Yudhishthira! Far better it would have been for me to have died in the battle, than have been saved as a result of a favor done by the Pandavas. Now listen to what I have to say. I will stay here foregoing all food, while all of you return home. I have done a highly improper and wicked act for which I will perish by starving. And if I return now after being insulted by my foes, I will be a source of sorrow to my friends." Even though Dushasan, Karna and Shakuni tried to console him, Duryodhana did not agree. Then, clad in rags, he spread kusha grass on the earth and prepared himself to observe the highest woe of laying down his life. He prayed and worshipped in silence. Meanwhile, O monarch, the fierce Daityas and Danavas, defeated earlier by the Devas and dwelling in the nether regions, became aware of Duryodhana's intentions. Knowing that if the king died, their party would be weakened, they commissioned a yajna to summon Duryodhana to their presence. After the rites had ended, a female deity arose from the fire, and she said to the Daityas and Danavas,
What can I do for you?
One of the Daityas said, "Go bring King Duryodhana, who is now observing a fast unto death." The deity took Duryodhana to the nether regions, where the Danavas were eagerly awaiting her return. And they said to Duryodhana,
O king, why have you undertaken such a rash act?
"O Duryodhana, you are of celestial origin, the creation of Maheshwara and his goddess, and we have obtained you by ascetic austerities from Maheshwara. Grieve not any more, for there are many Danavas born on this earth to help you in destroying your foes. The sons of Pandu will have content with these mighty Danavas. We have also settled the means of slaying Arjun. The soul of the slain Naraka has assumed the form of Karna, and he will slay Arjun. We also know that Indra, desirous of saving Arjun, will in disguise take away from Karna his earrings and coat of mail. Therefore, we have appointed hundreds of Samsatpakas to protect him, which are the soldiers that are sworn to conquer or die. So go, O king, and rule the earth. Thou art our refuge, as the Pandavas are the refuge of the gods. Go, attain victory." The deity then carried Duryodhana back to the spot where he had been meditating, and he thought to himself, "I shall defeat the Pandavas in battle." The next morning, Karna approached Duryodhana again, and he said, "O king, has the sight of Arjun's prowess possessed you with fright? I promise you I will slay Arjun in battle and bring the sons of Pandu under our subjection." Hearing Karna's firm resolve and remembering the words of the Danavas, Duryodhana rose and they returned to Hastinapur. Duryodhana returned to Hastinapur. He met criticism, not praise. Bhishma told Duryodhana, "O child, I told you before you set out that the journey did not please me. Yet you went, and as a consequence, you were taken captive and had to be freed by the Pandavas. Yet you are not ashamed. You have witnessed the might of the Pandavas, and your strength is not even a fourth of it. O Duryodhana, therefore, for the welfare of the race, conclude peace with the valiant sons of Pandu." On hearing this, Duryodhana sailed out of the room with Shakuni, leaving Bhishma, who hung his head in shame. Duryodhana then decided to consult his counselors. He said to them, "We must discuss today that what remains to be done and also what will be beneficial to me." Karna's first replied, "O Duryodhana, Bhishma always finds fault with us and praises the Pandavas. Because of the ill will he bears towards you, he hates me too. So, O king, if you permit me, I will conquer the earth single-handedly. What the four Pandavas did together, I will do single-handed. Bhishma will see it." Duryodhana replied, "O Karna, your concern for my welfare, for my welfare I regard as a favor. Go and subdue our enemies. My blessings are with you." And on an auspicious day and hour, Karna set out to fulfill his promise. With a large army at his disposal, Karna set out to conquer the world. He began by subjugating King Draupad and then conquered all the kingdoms of the north, east, south and west. When a victorious Karna returned to Hastinapur, he was received with honor, and Duryodhana praised him, saying, "O Karna, would you have done for me, not have even Drona or Kripa or Bhishma has been able to do. Without doubt, neither the Pandavas nor any other king is any match for you in valor. But now I wish to perform the mighty Rajasuya Yajna which the Pandavas performed." Karna said, "O king, now that all the rulers of the earth have been brought under your subjection, summon the priests and conduct the sacrifice." But when the Brahmins were sent for, they said to Duryodhana, "O King Dhritarashtra, who is your elder, is still living, so you cannot perform the Rajasuya. However, there is another great sacrifice, the Vaishnav, which you can perform. Other than Vishnu, no one other has performed this sacrifice, which is equal in importance to the Rajasuya." Duryodhana agreed to the Vaishnav sacrifice and gave orders for its preparation. Brahmins from far and wide were invited. The king also ordered a messenger to go and invite the Pandavas for this occasion. Duryodhana's messenger conveyed the invitation to the Pandavas in the forest. But Yudhishthir said, "Duryodhana is indeed lucky to be performing the Vaishnava. We would have accepted this invitation, but we cannot go back to Hastinapur as we are observing a vow." Back in Hastinapur, preparations for the sacrifice were in full swing. The citizens of Hastinapur were overjoyed.
The sacrifice has suppressed all others.
And at the royal palace, Karna addressed Duryodhana, "O king, the mighty Vaishnava Yajna has come to an end. But once we have defeated the Pandavas, we will perform the Rajasuya. And here, I take a vow that as long as I don't slay Arjun, I shall not allow anyone to wash my feet, nor shall I taste meat or drink or any wine." The Pandavas got to hear about Karna's vow and decided to leave the woods of Dwatavan. And meanwhile, O monarch, Duryodhana continued to rule the earth along with his heroic brothers, with assistance from Drona, Kripa, Bhishma and the great Karna. And thus ends the 23rd session of our rendering of Vaishampayan's recital of Vyasa's immortal Itihasa, the Mahabharata. Stay tuned for the next chapter, which is Mahabharata chapter 24, and it is called the 12th year. Please subscribe to this channel, like, share and comment on this video. Thank you
And
and namaste.